November 12th, regular council meeting of the city of Cross Lake. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first we need to approve the additions to the agenda, and I'm going to run through them quick. We've got some additional bills for approval. We've got to canvass the election results. We've got an email from Tim Rosinger about the water quality project down on Manhattan Beach in 66. Because of the COVID governor's order, we got to discuss the platform for future meetings. And we've got a proposal for engineering services from WSN for 2021 street improvements. So those are additions. Do we have a motion to approve them?
Second. So moved.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Next public forum. No action will be taken on any of the issues raised. If appropriate, the issue will be placed on the agenda of a future council meeting. Speaker must state their name and address. Each speaker is given a 3-minute time limit.
Pat Netco, 36084 County Road 66, Cross Lake. I'm here because I don't think I've come before you with this project before. This is a project that we started quite a few months ago, actually, and it's just now coming to fruition in partnership with the Cross Lake Charter School. It's called Lids to Benches, and it's a recycling program where we can recycle lids, and thank you, Shara, for your donation of lids. Various types of lids of all kinds of plastic. So we have a place to recycle plastics, but they don't take lids. So these lids can now be benches that we can have around our community. So we're asking everybody to start saving all their lids. And I will bring up, Shar, some sheets that say what all, there's certain recycle numbers on there, like deli lids from like Reed's Market, the food deli lids are not okay. But like prescription bottles, they can't have metal in them or plastic in them, and they have to be clean. Milk jugs, water bottles, Cool Whip, anything less than 6 inches. So they have this grinding process, and they melt it, and they make benches. So this is a cool project because partnering with the community school, I was gonna just do this with my youth group. I started this, my sister did this down in Iowa, and they since have gotten 3 benches for their school, and they're really nice, sturdy benches. And decided it was a better partnership with the community school and their environmental team, so I met with them today and brought in 4 giant bags of lids that's probably about enough to make 1 bench already that I've been collecting. So people come and drop them through my drive-through window. I get bags like this almost every day from people. So we need to get a whole bunch more of these, and then we're gonna make a road trip to Ohio, bring our poundage of lids there, and bring back benches. So it's a good win-win for the community and for the kids at the school. It becomes a math project. They're gonna have a competition between classes of who can bring in the most lids, and then what they have to do, they have to inspect them, make sure they're sure they're all okay, and then make sure they're all clean, and they have to wash them if they're not clean, if there's still peanut butter in the lid or milk, whatever, they have to wash them. And then they weigh themselves on a scale, and then they hold their bag of lids and weigh themselves, do the math, and figure out how many ounces of lids they have, and minus the bag weight. So they have to do all that stuff. So it becomes a pretty good educational project. So I'm pretty excited about it, and I hope you all get on board, save your lids. We'll have drop-offs. Doug is working on building an outside barrel or fenced-in thing or something where people can just drive up and drop them off, but you can go through my store and drive up and drop them off now. So that's it.
Didn't we talk about that last year?
Well, maybe we did. I don't know. It started out kind of as a Cross-Laker project. It's kind of been all over the board.
I mean, it's good to make them aware and bring
We
it back
talked
up,
at our Cross-Laker group.
Okay.
I'm not sure that we talked
Maybe
here.
that's what it was.
Yeah. So
Fabulous.
So lids to benches. Yeah, thank you.
What do the benches cost when you go to get them?
There is a cost, and it depends on what kind of bench you get. You can get just a plain bench, you can get a bench with a back on it, you can get tables, you can get little planter tables. It's kind of all over the board. Basically, the cost, I think, is around, I'm gonna guess for benches that we want, I think it was around $100 that we would have to pay plus the lids.
Good exercise for the kids, good for the environment.
Yeah, and then if anybody
Recycling.
wants to donate money for the road, we don't want to ship them because that's just way too expensive. And Cindy and I have volunteered to do the road trip to Ohio, so we've already got that in the docket.
Perfect.
Yeah, so thank you.
Good luck. Does anybody else want to come up? Oh, okay.
All right, here we go. I don't have a mic, so.
Sue, did you have something that you wanted to say in public forum?
I'm Sue Scharenbrock.
Yeah, there you go.
Hello, and
Welcome.
I want to thank you for your service and congratulate the winners of the 2020 fall election.
Thank you.
My husband Mark is with me.
I'm the man behind the woman.
I've served behind the table as well. I've been an elected official for a school district with 11,000 students, so I know what it's like to be behind that table. I served for 10 years in Hopkins.
So thanks for everything you've done and congratulations
Absolutely.
on your elections.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to explore the possibility tonight about, we have so many great amenities in Cross Lake with the cross-country trails, the courts, the pickleball courts, a weight room, the workout rooms. But in terms of physical fitness, and in a year of the pandemic, where more people are up here than ever before, and we've been up here, I should say, for 37 years. We live on West Shore Drive, 34232 West Shore Drive. And we're up here full-time now. And it would be a great amenity. I would love to explore the possibility of having the walking paths cleared more often than not to make it safe for people to walk along West Shore Drive. Probably not the full 3 miles, but maybe from the boat landing where they can park and just get out and walk, because not that many of us, especially older residents, are going to go to the gyms or be indoors. And having been here this summer, I cannot believe the usage of the trails right now, both biking and walking. People in wheelchairs, young and old, they are using those pathways. And I know in the past, they've just been piled up with snow. The alternative is walking along West Shore Drive and our roadways, which often get icy and aren't salted as much. So it's very treacherous with curvy roads to be walking along there. So that leaves no option for people who want to get out, except for when the lakes freeze up. And I don't know, that's prohibitive for a lot of people that are older to get on slippery, icy lakes. So I'm just suggesting or hoping that we could explore, one, if we have the equipment to do it, if we have the will to do it, or if we have the manpower to do it. And I in talking with city and with plowers, they're saying that it's all about equipment. People that have private plowing businesses, it's all about the equipment. I've heard that it'll snow in people with individual driveways. Well, they already are when we plow down West Shore Drive. So I'm just curious if we could explore opening that up for people to use our walkways and our trails, because if you look at it, okay, we have 6 inches of snow now, and we won't be able to use those until March.
Okay, so let me comment a little bit on that. First of all, it's not only West Shore Drive. We've got trails all over the city.
I
So
agree.
there's quite a few of them. And
I
I don't
heard.
disagree with you. It might be a good idea. I don't know that we have the manpower right now to do it. The thing I would like to talk to the council about is maybe if we could just let people to do it on their own. You know, and that's kind of a conversation that we have to have about that. That's the short-term fix. The long-term is budgeting and looking at that as something that the city would want to undertake long-term. Obviously, as the winter goes on, the snow gets deeper, it gets more difficult to storage. It's not there. So, you know, this time of year, you could probably do it a little bit, but as the winter gets on, the snow gets more, it's going to be pretty difficult. But I guess let me just ask the question of the council, is there any interest in that? I know we're not supposed to talk about public forum things, but this is something that it's either something's gonna happen. Mike or Brad, do you have an opinion on whether the city could tell them if they wanna have somebody plow the thing, can they do that? Is there a liability issue? That is a short-term thing.
You could contract it out, but I do not recommend having people just randomly maintain the city right away. That's asking for problems.
So the city would have to contract
Well,
it
either
out.
city staff or a contract with a private contractor if you don't have enough city staff. But then there's somebody responsible and liable if they knock over a mailbox or put snow in a driveway that causes an accident or whatever. There's liability issues there.
So then if the trails got slippery and somebody slipped on them, would that be a liability for the city also?
Good question. That would fall under our official immunity. No is the answer. But again, that also assumes that we're maintaining our own right of way. It gets a little muddy if we're intentionally allowing people we don't know. I mean, we might know them, but if we're not regulating who maintains our right of way, that would skew the liability laws that we have in place to protect cities.
I have an auxiliary question on Manhattan Point. The trail, we have some neighbors who actually take their snow from their driveways and pile them on top of the trail. Are there any regulations in Cross Lake for trails? Like, I mean, trails that would have been walkable are no longer walkable when you have a 4-foot pile of snow on them.
Yeah, well, I mean, that kind of gets into, in the winter, they're used for snowmobile trails. I mean, that's what a lot of them are used for.
Which is great.
Not an easy answer for that. I don't know, would that something that would go to the Park and Rec Committee to talk about?
Where's Ted?
Ted left.
We've got a blower. We have a blower on the front end of a cat. That, yeah, I don't know what his time commitment is, but if you just drive down and blow it into the woods, when you get so many inches.
Is that something that we want to try to take a look at in the short term?
Well, given COVID and people need
Yeah,
some, I think it's, I was thinking maybe we could do 66, but like you said, Mayor, that's Snowmobile Central, and they'll probably all be here this winter.
Well, but there's Anchor Point. I mean, I think if we're going to do one, we need to try to make an attempt to do them all.
Right.
I-
Are the trails non-motorized? Then how
Yes.
do the
Yes.
snowmobiles go
How
on?
about the snowmobiles in the winter? Still non-motorized?
No motorized traffic along the walking trails.
Yeah. Well,
It does happen, but it says no.
Right. And then County Road 66 is a designated trail, so we can't,
but legally, the community center trail, you're not supposed to run up and down it.
according to our ordinance, no.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that would have to be looked at by a committee, and I don't know if that's Public Works or if that's the other, but also you'd want to look at the machine, would it be capable of doing large amounts?
I've seen them go on this side of 66 here,
Yeah, but
get it away from the street.
Yeah.
It just blows it all over, so, and that takes a
6 foot wide.
good path. So
Okay.
maybe we should just have Ted get back to everybody by
yeah.
next Thursday. See
Yeah.
if he could fit it in.
Yeah, I mean, it would be the last thing that we do because we have to do everything else, but, given time. And I'm not saying they're gonna do it, but I mean, I think we're all in agreement that especially this year, it would be a good thing to have.
But I think I would limit the amount of them that we do, because you could overwhelm.
Well,
There's a lot of miles here,
no, I know. I mean,
but I'm not against at all what she's talking about.
yeah. Well, Sue, let's leave it at that. We'll kind of try to encourage the Public Works Department to see what they can do to blow them.
I know my husband would like to just end with a comment, but
No,
thank you.
We congratulate you, Cross Lake, for having the vision to create these paths in the first place, especially on West Shore Drive, and how much they're used. And love to have the vision to have full use of them throughout the year. So thanks for giving us the time.
Yep, you bet.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else? Char? Where did Ted run off to, do you know?
He's on Zoom.
Oh, okay. You listened to that, Ted, right?
Thank you.
Does he have ear? He can hear you. Oh. He's muted. Ted, can you hear us?
He's muted. Off of mute.
Can you hear me?
Yep. So you listened to that whole conversation, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's talk about it and see what you can do.
Yes, sir, we will do that.
Okay, Char.
All right. Tom Swenson sent an email and he asked that I read it during public forum and provide a hard copy to each council member. So now you guys have it. Mayor and council members, on October 27th, I received an email notice from the city clerk that the November 2nd Public Works Commission meeting was canceled. In reviewing the council packet for tonight's meeting, I see that on October 7th, the city received a proposal from Bolton and Mink regarding biosolids treatment with an engineering cost of $87,750 and a potential construction cost between $1 million and $1.5 million. Also on October 7th, the city received a proposal from Bolton and Mink regarding clarifier rehabilitation with an engineering cost of $45,310 and a potential construction cost between $350,000 and $450,000. On October 16th, the city received a proposal from In Control regarding replacement of lift station control panels with a cost between $340,000 and $360,000. Although I can understand canceling the meeting on November 2nd due to setting up the council chambers for the election on the 3rd, I don't understand why the meeting wasn't rescheduled when the staff was in receipt of 3 such important proposals since October 16th. The meeting could have easily been rescheduled for any time during the last week of October or November 4th or 5th. Rescheduling the meeting would have allowed the commission an opportunity to review the proposal and provide input to the city council. All 3 of these projects are technical in nature and very expensive. My feeling is they deserved a thorough review and discussion by the commission in order to assist the city council in prioritizing and potentially moving forward with any or all of these projects. And Tom is on the Public Works Commission.
Do we discuss that now? Huh? I mean, I totally agree with Tom that that should go in front of the commission before it comes to the council here. And I guess I can't help but question, why was the meeting canceled? Just because nothing was going on, or?
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah?
it's Ted.
Yep, okay, Ted.
Can I answer that question?
Sure.
On October the 18th, I received a phone call from one of my staff. This was on Sunday at 3 in the morning. We had problems at the wastewater plant. When I got to work on Monday morning, our plant was in an upset condition. So that whole week, next week of October and into the following week of October, we were busy trying to get the plant back online. I worked from 2:30 in the morning to as late as 9 o'clock at night at the plant to get it back in line. By October and I didn't know it was going to happen, by the 29th, I had everything back online and the plant producing exceptional quality effluent again. It was never my intent to take these and hide them or not show the commission. Then the following week, the first week of November, we had the election, so I couldn't really do it then. And then as of the 4th, I was notified that I had been exposed to COVID, and I kind of been in isolation and not been trying to be around or expose anybody to it until it's confirmed whether I have it or not. My intent was to take these back to the Public Works in December and get their reaction to it. Mr. Schrupp was aware that I had received these and asked me to include them in this packet to you. So that's my explanation. It is my fault that it didn't go, we didn't have the meeting, but I was very, very busy during this time period.
Well,
Our treatment plant was almost to the point where I had to call the state of Minnesota and bypass the plant. It was that serious.
I just kind of agree with Tom, feel the nature and the expense. I mean, these are big projects, so we should probably table them until the commission gets an opportunity to look them over. And we can wait till it comes up in the agenda and discuss it further. Anybody have any opinion on that, or?
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least we have the information now. We
Right.
can discuss it and it won't be,
Right, I have some comments on them when we get there, and they are
Yeah.
big ticket items. And we're gonna need your help on this, Ted, so.
I'd like to commend Ted for getting the sewer plant back online. It's a major project, and not sure exactly what was going to happen when she got started in it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that as we get to the public works portion. Does anybody else have a public forum? Nobody there? I guess we'll close the public forum. Next is the consent calendar. Has everybody had a chance to review?
Yes.
We have a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next, critical issues. Shar, I guess that's yours. Canvass the election results. And what is exactly canvassing the election results mean? Just acknowledging them?
Yeah, you looking through the numbers, making sure you agree with them. And then once we canvass them, they go to the state for distribution.
So just
But
looking at it, one question I have on them is there was 144 new registers that day. Do you think that's new people staying here now?
Probably, more than likely.
Yeah.
We usually have, I would say about 50, do you think? It's normally around 50, so this is double,
I mean, yeah, or triple.
triple,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's expected. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't
Okay.
interrupt you.
I just wanted to give you some statistics. At the beginning of the day, we had 1,953 voters registered, and then we had the additional 144 register that day. Some of those registered at the county. We, here in Cross Lake, only had, I think, 97 register. So the total number of voters came to 1,830. 1,054 came here, and 776 were absentee. So that gives Cross Lake an 88% voter turnout, which is really great.
That's incredible.
And that's normal for Cross Lake.
really,
We always usually hit that number,
that's awesome.
even though people were lined up. Maybe that's because we didn't have them all in the building at one
Well, we
time.
had an awful nice day for it, too.
Right, I know, right. I think if it was a snowstorm, maybe people wouldn't have come.
Yeah.
But I also want to give a shout out to my election judges, because this was an extraordinary year. We've never seen anything like it. They worked so hard and diligently. They have to go to training every 2 years to do this, and I am just so lucky to have the best judges in Crow Wing County, you don't know. So I have Dean Borgeson, Pam Graves, Cindy Mugato, Jean Hummel, Jane Munson, and Cindy Darnell. And I just want to thank them for volunteering their time to do that.
One comment on that. You had 1,000 in-house votes that day here. And is that typical year to year? I mean, before you usually had 2 precincts, 2 different locations.
Right, so I would say yes. Actually, no, I think it would have been higher. Cindy, what do you think? I think we'd get more people in person. I think this was way more absentee ballots than we ever had.
Oh, okay.
Between the 2 precincts, I would say we did between 1,200 and 1,300 in person. That would have been my guess.
Wow. Oh, okay, so less absentee then. Yeah. Okay.
So then I just need you guys to make a motion to approve the results.
So move.
I'll second that.
Motion by Andrews, second by Schrupp. Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And thank you, Shar, and to you and your staff. That's a hectic day, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, next we got an update on the fire hall. I was over there today and they're hanging sheetrock. They're pouring concrete. I mean, it appears, Chip, do you have any comments on it? It appears to be going real well.
Agreed.
I don't think there's any surprises. There's no new issues of any kind, little things. So, yeah, it's going good.
They've reduced the meetings from weekly now to every other week. So that, to me, shows a lot of progress. And
Yeah, for the building group there.
last Friday when I was there was no surprises of any kind. So that was very good to hear and see. So it's progressing well.
Yep. Okay, that being said, they're putting in a pay request. And I believe this is the second one? Fourth one?
Third one.
Okay. So this one's for $130,000, which I believe brings up the total with this check paid today at $174,000. I mean, that's what the paperwork says, so. So does anybody want to make a motion to approve that pay request?
I'll make a motion, we approve the billing dated 10/26/20 from High Tech for $130,946.69.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All in favor. Next, we got a resolution accepting donations. We've got donations from the Cross Lake Ideal Lions Club for $4,888.55. And I think that was last month's meeting, Eric. That's to go to the police trailer?
Correct.
That's proposed. So that's awful good. Pell Foundation, $699. And that's the purchase of a memorial bench. So does somebody want to make a motion to accept the resolution?
I'll make a motion to accept the resolution accepting the donations from Cross Lake Ideal Lions and Pell Foundation.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that the full trailer, Eric? It looks like that might be the
That's
complete.
purchase of a trailer, any graphics or anything like that, we'll find the money for it.
Fabulous. Thank you. That's good news.
Yes.
Okay, next is a request on my part, I guess, for looking for bids for 2021 for services for the city engineer and the city attorney. And I just kind of feel like it's our obligation to get those every couple years or something, just to keep things on the up and up. So if the council agrees with that.
Yep, I have no problem.
I'm okay.
So do we have a
Yeah, I'm
motion
good
for
with
that?
it. I'm good with that.
Is somebody that,
That's the only two real contractors we have, isn't it? The engineering and legal? Yeah, okay.
Well, I'll make a motion to request proposals for 2021 for services by the city, or for the city engineer and for the city attorney.
Second.
okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Pardon me.
Do we want a timeline associated with that?
When we'd like,
Them back?
well, I would say if we can by the January meeting. That's usually when we renew contracts, right?
Are you going to interview them, or, I don't, what is your process?
Yeah, I guess so. Who, does the whole council interview? And is that open, like at a council meeting?
A special meeting, usually.
Special meeting.
In the January meeting, John, you wanted to try to move that to the 4th, I believe, right?
Wanted to discuss that.
Yeah. Well, do we have to set that time for the interview right now?
Well, it should be in the
It has to be in the
RFP that goes
proposal.
out.
Yeah. Now, do we have to, we don't have to interview them, we have to look at the proposals, correct?
In the past, we've had the firms come and they do a presentation.
They've actually came and done a presentation, okay.
Mr. Mayor, can we do it maybe the week of our December council meeting, have a special meeting? I would think they'd be able to get,
Is that the 14th?
I don't have my phone
I
with me.
believe it is, yeah, it sounds right.
Mike, do you know, is that the 14th?
The next council meeting is December 14th.
Yeah.
So
So, I mean, that's fine with me.
I would think they'd be able to get something back by then.
Yeah, you don't have to advertise it. You can just
That's
send
a
it.
month, you know, if we get something out in the paper, so.
So we've got that meeting from 6 till 7, and that is a Monday. I don't know, do we do it before, at 4 o'clock?
I would set a separate date
Yeah.
during the day for these firms to come in.
And that might be better during the day, like 2 in the afternoon,
I would say 10 in the morning start.
10 in the morning,
It's
I don't
gonna
care.
depend how many responses you get.
It's a good point, because you're gonna interview them one at a time.
So I don't care, probably that week, 14th to the 18th. And I don't care what it is, whenever it works out for everybody. Does anybody have any big conflicts that week? Should we say Thursday, the 17th?
That's fine, yeah.
10
Okay,
a.m.
starting at 10 a.m. Okay, so did we vote on that? Or we had a motion and a second.
No, that's all. 10
Okay,
a.m.
so, I'm sorry, Marcia, did you make the motion?
Yeah.
And Aaron, you seconded it? Or John? John did? Okay, so we got a
Andrew,
motion and a
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next is the makeup of the Personnel Committee. I believe, Eric, and you and I haven't had a chance to talk about this, but I believe at our last Personnel Committee, you kind of commented that I shouldn't even be on this committee or something, because you were put on it as on a temporary basis.
Well, what's going on is I'm on my third year of my one-year term. So, yeah, I figured it was time for somebody else, another department head, non-union personnel to step up and be appointed next year.
Okay.
And what is the requirements for the Personnel Committee? Is it 2 department heads or 2 staff or?
The Personnel Committee was set by city ordinance, and it consists of the mayor, the city administrator, one other council person, and a non-union staff person. What it used to be made up of was the mayor, an appointed council person, city administrator, and the general manager of the Cross Lake Communications. When the city sold Cross Lake Communications, the council at that time changed the ordinance to include a city department head that was not in the union.
So which department heads are not on the union?
Everyone,
Department heads are not. TJ, you're not on the union.
correct.
Okay, well, Aaron is currently on the Personnel Committee. Aaron is also on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Marcia is not on a committee yet, so I was kind of wanting to put her on the Personnel Committee.
I think the Personnel Committee should be changed to the mayor, a councilman, and the city administrator. There's no reason to have another staff member on there. The only reason it was set up that way is, like Mike said, is the general manager of Cross Lake Communications.
So we'd have to change the ordinance then if that's what we wanted to do.
Marcia, are you saying change it from 4 to 3 people?
To 3 people.
I guess I like the idea of keeping it 4, and I think it's very helpful to have a non-union person who's not city council person involved.
Most
My opinion.
personnel committees don't have 2 staff on it.
Another alternative you could do is if you're going to change the ordinance, because we are so small, you could have the council serve as the personnel committee.
And not the administrator? Or in addition?
The personnel committee is like any other committee on the city. They make recommendations that the council approves.
But you're saying the entire.
So what you're really
council-
saying is if you want staff, non-council input on the committee, you're probably not going to get that with 2 council members and 1 staff on the committee, is what I'm saying.
Any other-
Haven't you worked with the?
I was on it, I think Brad and I were on it for a couple of years. And I've had, earlier in my career, this was my background, but I think that you need input from the administrator and somebody else, director, because we're not here every day. And we don't know all of the details of things. And whatever you guys in the committee, or whatever we did, whatever we resolved or came up with, it still had to go to the council. So I'm just saying, the more information you have, the better you can make a decision.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand your thought, Mike, about having the whole council be on it, because you're dealing with personnel issues that you'd have to have a public meeting then, wouldn't you?
How about Ted? Can Ted take over for Eric?
Ted or TJ?
Or TJ,
Yeah.
and
Or John Colstead or Eric
John?
Swanson,
Yeah.
oh,
Okay.
Jane could do it.
Jane Monson. I mean, it's not a decision you have to make tonight, but
Yeah.
you can
no.
think about it and come back with what your thoughts are on it, or the clerk.
Go ahead, Sheriff. Or you could?
I don't mind being it. I mean, it was kind of my specialty anyway, so.
Usually, you'll make this appointment in January. We'll do all the organizational. You can appoint the new staff person, you can appoint the new council liaison.
Okay, let's do that.
But if we want to change the ordinance to read 2 councilmen and the city administrator, you'll have to do it before you make the appointment.
Well, I don't know that I'm opposed to having another one, and I quite honestly, my only opposition to it is that the personnel meeting is talking about personnel, and the makeup is the personnel, but that's okay. I think to change it up is a good idea, so. I mean, unless you want to make a motion to limit it to 2 council and 1 administrator, otherwise I'd let it go and reorganize in January.
Well, I'll make a motion that we change the personnel committee to the mayor, a councilman, and the city administrator.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second on it? Well, out of respect to you, Marcia, I'll second that motion. So we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Opposed?
Opposed.
No.
Okay, so that dies.
Yeah, just figure out,
So we'll just wait till January.
good idea,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So there's nothing else we have to do there? Okay, the next one is the mayor wants to consider changing the assessment policy. I'm not even sure that we have got a firm assessment policy.
We do.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask, what is it then? Is it just going with Nagel appraisals and does it appraisal? What is the assessment policy?
Multiple pages.
The assessment policy, here about a couple of years ago, the council and the Public Works Committee went through a pretty extensive process to revise the special assessment policy. Whether it's based on per lineal foot per equivalent lot size or per appraised benefit, or benefit of value. At that time, the council chose to use the appraisal of benefit for the policy going forward. We've used it a couple different times. We used it for Daggett Bay Road most recently. And when we were going to use the policy for Big Pine Trail, we did it on that one too. With that project, the council decided not to move forward with that project. Any policy that you pick, you're going to have things that people don't like about it and things that people do like about it based on their frame of reference. So that was the reason the council went with, at that time, went with going to an appraisal type, because you have an independent third party providing their opinion and giving the council a range of benefit for that improvement. It was also thought at that time, because of the uniqueness of Cross Lake and the different properties, one side of the road might be on the lake and the other might be not, and the location, the quality of the lakeshore, or wherever it is, size of the lot, shape, they didn't feel that the equivalent lot size was the most equitable way to do it. Now, if you were in a city that's set out like a grid, then that might not be the best way to go, because you may be more fair and more equitable using a lineal foot method. The goal of the assessment policy is to have a fair process that upon challenge would hold up upon a challenge. And so the council thought the best way to go would be with the appraisal method on it. Now, some people like it and some people don't. Some people liked the per foot method, some people didn't. It just depends on the reference point. So we have a policy, it's been used, and the council needs to decide whether or not to follow it or change it. But just to say, I don't like it, isn't helpful. If there's something that needs to be changed, then my suggestion would be, tell us what do you want changed, and show us how it's better than show the council how it's better than what we have. Again, you know, Brad's been through a lot of assessment policies, so has Dave. I've been through a number of them too, and not one of them has gone without controversy. We've only had one that went without controversy that I'm aware of in here. Anything to add to that, Brad?
I can answer questions or.
To me, that the road assessment policy is a fair policy, and it's typically around $2,000 a property is what I've seen. It's where we got into the sewer that it got bad. You know, and we go back to the Leo and Dodo Frazier story of an old 90-year-old plus couple that living down there, and their assessment was $86,000 for sewer hookup, sewer and road. And to me, that policy, it doesn't work for me.
Well, with that respect, Mayor, there was an alternative provided for them.
Well, there was, yeah, but the policy that we had, that's what was thrown out there. That's what the assessment was. It changed through discussion. Shar, I can't help it, but I got to throw you under the bus a little bit, because when I talked to you about putting this on the agenda, your comment was, why do we even need an assessment policy? The first time we put the sewer in, was that by assessment? How did we charge for the sewer the first time? Okay, Dave, yeah.
That was based primarily on connection charges, and the city at that time did not completely follow the engineer's recommendation on that.
Okay, go ahead.
That's right. It was connection charges. There weren't assessments.
And why did the city not follow your engineer direction?
It wasn't, there wasn't an assessment policy for sanitary sewer at that point. We had an assessment policy that was based primarily on front footage and equivalent lot basis for roadways, and that was designed around paving the gravel roads within the city, and it accomplished that purpose. And then it went to the sewer project, and to offset part of the project cost, connection charges were used. And the city also supplemented that with proceeds from sales of the phone company.
Okay, well, I mean, at some point in time, we got to solve this. I don't believe this is the first time I voiced my opposition to the assessment policy we have. And I think because it relates to a residential property, their cost to hook up to the sewer was in the area of $18,000 with all the charges.
Mr. Mayor, could I talk a little bit about?
Sure, absolutely.
And I get that. I know I've taken calls on people that when we were looking at 66 extension, why do I have to pay an assessment when 18 years ago nobody did? Well, I think you have to back up a little bit. And in today's packet, you can see that we have talked about, or will talk about, the sewer plant. The sewer plant is the biggest use of our tax dollars, if you've noticed. And now we have more money that we're going to have to consider putting into it. And the Frasers, I don't know that we ever got to the point where we said, okay, we don't agree with whatever the number was, but you are going to get a benefit by having a sewer connection that you can hook up to. And maybe I don't know what it was, 80,000 or something like that. Maybe it's $7,500, period. But there's people that would love to hook up, and then there was people that didn't want to hook up. They didn't feel they needed to. But that assessment is a value to them, to their property. They're going to get a benefit to their property, and that money, correct me if I'm wrong, that money is desperately needed to keep the sewer plant going. We can't, we're into it up to our neck. You can't shut it off. You got to keep it going. So we just need to work out what those numbers are and go through the process. And to take the number, I know a couple of you are very concerned about the levy, just like John and I are, but 1.6 million to extend 66, and I guess the minimum is 20% you have to assess. So that'd be over $300,000. That's kind of like us sitting here and trying to decide, are we gonna have to buy another plow truck this year? And that money would go to help offset the cost. And the sales tax plan to use the money for paying for the sewer extensions would definitely help too, and that would offset for the rest of the citizens in town here. That's kind of what we're doing. But from my research, assessments are very common in almost every city. Brad can probably talk to that. It's just we have to nail down what the dollars are going to be fair. That's it.
Yeah. And
right.
because we have the assessment, and then we've got the SAC charge on top of it, or the sewer availability charge. And, then it starts compounding when you do that. And so in my world, in my mind, we're not set on the assessment policy.
I disagree with you on that. There is an assessment policy in place. What you disagree on is whether or not you want to use it.
Right.
The policy exists. You either have to use it
I don't know
or you
that I was
don't.
conscious when I agreed to it, if I was sitting on the council, and I believe I was. I thought we were just looking into it, but I'm not denying it. If I did, I did. But.
Yeah, I know Phil Martin came in with a sheet of how much it is by each property, and it was up to us to decide, do we like those numbers or don't we?
Yeah.
We never went full boat and changed them.
Let me make a comment as a citizen who I like having sewer plant and I like having sewer. I'll never get the direct advantage of a sewer line. It'll never come my way. However, I don't mind paying a bunch of shekel so that we can have a sewer in town. It means we can have stores, we can have restaurants, we can have other things. So I'm willing to pay my share and pay a chunk that comes in my regular tax bill. We're just talking about how much goes to the individual person who's getting the sewer and how much comes to people like me who'll never use it. I do think we did have some options. Some of the properties that were along 66 were listed commercial. They theoretically could go residential, which would cut their price a bunch. We could also do other things, but I think we went through about a year and a half process of trying to come up with a policy, which I thought was pretty good, but that's just my thought. Thank you.
So the specific assessment you're concerned about is the sewer system?
Yeah,
it's not all assessments.
From what I've seen of the road assessment, it's a fair assessment.
Just so we separate the two out,
Correct.
I think that's one.
Yeah.
If we want to do that, and I'm not saying we do or don't, then we have to put together a series of information that goes to the Planning or Public Works Commission that they can work from. We've talked to them about doing that. We've never given them solid direction, and I think that's what we would have to do, a workshop, and we would have to put together a direction for them, proper direction, so they know where to go, where to take it to. Right now, we're spinning our wheels on it, and if we want it to move forward and make those changes, then that's what we have to do. And we'll have to commit.
Public Works has worked a lot out.
I would recommend that from my recollection, the 66 extension just kind of stopped. We never got too far with it.
No.
So Phil Martin's got his spreadsheets. There were numbers on there. We never got into details and tried to decide, okay, what should those numbers be for this property? What should they have to be reasonably fair from residential.
But Dave, we did do that though, because we had the public meetings, they all came in and they went through the.
Well, we were taking public input, and
Okay, but I mean,
never
it was
got, we
close.
never got too far on it, but we should pick that one up, because those are the numbers that we have to decide on.
Yeah. But we need to provide appropriate direction to the Public Works Commission so they can work and come back to us with something, because until we do that, we're going to have this is about the third time we've had the same conversation.
You're right.
Well,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I think I've been kind of a real obstacle in the process of it, because I keep arguing it, but I think that Public Works has gone around in circle on it, and I just continue to keep bringing it up.
Can I just add a couple quick comments to
Sure.
help guide it? You already know this, I think, but just to be clear, somebody that thinks their assessment's too high can challenge it. You know, by law, they can get their own appraisal, and if they show the benefits 20 grand less than our assessment, you know, we have to reduce it that 20 grand, you know. That's one comment. Another comment is, you need to give more direction. I think what Mike was saying, if you want to change the policy, the cost of the pipe is the cost of the pipe. It's 1.3 million or whatever it is. If you think the assessments are too high, you need to have a policy saying we're going to eat, somebody's got to pay it, whether it's the general tax dollar, like John said, or the citizens along the pipe. So you can, as a general policy, say we're going to raise or increase the city share, which thereby reduces the assessments. But when you get to that, let's say we're going to pay 40% of the general fund, 60 is going to be assessed. Then you got to equally allocate that 60% across the entire line. It's just pure math at that point.
Yeah, I agree, you know, and I think the city as a whole needs to take more of the burden of the sewer fund. You know, I think it's a regional benefit. I mean, it's about the lakes and it's about that, and to put the burden on the few people on the line that we're expanding, to me, is a little brutal, so. But how do we do that? How do we come up? Through Public Works? Do we just go back to the drawing board again and work on it?
Why don't we send it back to Public Works and have them start with the 66 project that you were
Yeah, that's
working
all
on?
there. That's still,
And Phil's got to
see
have
what-
that about
what-
finished, right?
oh, it's all done. He had, well, it's done to the point where he wanted input from the council,
Yeah.
so.
So,
When is he
and take
gonna
a
bring
look
that
at
to
the
council?
numbers.
Do you know when he's gonna bring that to the council and present it, or?
He already did. This was like,
With the storm sewer and everything?
Was it a year ago?
No, but I mean with the storm sewer, with the whole package.
Yeah.
Did it get stopped because the county wasn't doing 66 project and we were waiting for
No,
that?
we had a lot of opposition from the residents along the way.
Opposition and the
Yeah.
sales tax
It-
we were hoping to
right.
get.
It was a combination of things.
Right.
It wasn't,
Yeah.
we had the sales tax going and then that just got dead end.
I mean, the sales tax
That was
was
part
gonna
of it.
pick
It
up
was
a
gonna
good
help.
portion of that.
We could have Phil just come back and present again. Or if we need to give him direction or say,
Or Ted, take it up, you know, let's put it back on the Public Works agenda. Okay, do you hear? He's giving me the deer in the headlight look. All right, well, anyway, let's do that, huh?
And just for clarity, that's just for the sewer assessment portion?
I think the road, from what I've seen, I don't really have any objection. I don't know, is there a percentage policy or anything with that, or have you intended?
Nagel.
Hold on one thing. We also had discussed, we never made a decision of any kind, on the resurfacing, possibly putting half of that back to the landowner.
No, we're gonna do that as an assessment also.
Well, but
I think that's
not
gonna
in our policy.
Yeah, it is.
It's in
It is in there,
Yep.
yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
We
but
just
we're-
have never done it before.
The
But
fir-
it's always been there.
But we, remember that we always get a range from the appraiser, and the one we've used is Nagel. So we have to, if we go up beyond that and assess higher, we're in dangerous waters.
Yeah.
We gotta stay in the range, and if, you know, if you don't like what he says, then we have to, and it's a burden on a resident, then we have to make a decision that, okay.
From what I've seen of the road assessments, it's in the $2,000 property range. Is that fair?
It depends on the project. So if some project's gonna have a dirt road and you're putting pavement in, that'll be more benefit than if it's an existing paved road and you're just resurfacing or widening. So every project's gonna be different.
We don't have any dirt roads, but yeah, and maybe that's why. Okay, well, we'll put that back on Public Works. Okay, number 6 is, I guess this is a question from me to the council. Do you think that the mayor should have access to this building? Do you think the mayor, and maybe the mayor and the council, should have a key to get into the building?
You can, I don't want one, but you can have one, I don't care.
And I've asked for one before because in the winter it's 20 below outside, the wind's blowing. I come early to spread my papers out and I got to stand outside in the wind until 6:30 and the door opens. Or I call somebody or something. And personally, I think that's kind of ridiculous that the mayor, person that the people put in here, whoever that may be, should be able to just come into the building, I think.
Are you talking 24 hours a day, 7 days a
Well,
week?
I mean, there's security here, I guess if
Because
they
you
want to.
you got all kinds of security buttons to be pushing and popping
Oh,
when
that's
you
right.
walk in
But
after.
I think the cleaning people do it. There's a lot of keys, right? Do the cleaning people have a key to get in here?
They do. They've all been vetted, correct, Eric? They have to meet certain minimum requirements, so to have a key,
Has the mayor been vetted?
not in that respect, no.
Really?
I don't see a problem with it.
Well, there's multiple times that I come and I stand out at the door and I bang on it, and if I didn't have a phone to call, if somebody answers, then they might let me in, otherwise I just stand out there.
I guess, what would you like access to? I mean, just the front door, come in here, turn off the alarm?
Well, it would, I can't imagine it would be outside of business hours, but just to be able to get in the building, yeah. I can't imagine there'd be a need or a reason to come in on a Saturday morning or a Tuesday night at midnight.
So then you're actually talking an access card, you're not talking.
Or if I were to ever, or if any mayor were to ever have a office in here or access to it where you could just not have to ask for somebody, I don't know.
The only concern is data privacy. That would be on desks and that type of thing within City Hall. Any employee data privacy, that type of thing that would normally be on the desk would be the only issue I would have. But otherwise, I mean, if you would like access into the front door here, turn off the alarm system, maybe get in the conference room to go sit down.
I don't even see the reason to know the code to the alarm system right now.
Well, you got to turn it off if you're going to come in.
Well, I'm just talking about when it's open, just to come in here when it's open.
Yeah, but,
I mean, that's easy enough to set up.
Or, like before a council meeting, there's people in here, the alarm's not on, the door is just locked until 6:30.
No, it's set. If nobody's here, it's set.
No, but there are people here.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Usually, there's people here, somebody.
Whatever the council wants.
I don't know.
Easy enough to set up.
Work it out, but I'm okay with it.
I think that takes a motion though to do it, because I've asked for that before, and Shar and Mike both said that you can't have it. Now, in the old building, there was nothing locked, so you could get in. The front door was locked. I don't know if any of the other mayors had access to the building. Patty, did you
They have
ever have
not.
it?
No. It's a little bit of an unusual request. Typically, the mayor would have access to an office and a locked cabinet, which we've done in the past, but we've never given any elected official unrestricted free access to the building. So this would be the first. You know, and if it's a case where I'm not really seeing what the issue is, that if the building is open at 6:30, that's really no different than any other building. I'm not sure why you can't work around that, but if that's not possible,
Well,
then we
Mike,
can
because
put through
there's
the
been
key.
multiple times when I've come here in the middle of the winter and it's 20 after 6.
That was the old building, I'll give you that.
Yep, that
Yeah,
was the
well,
old building.
well, I don't see the difference here. This is locked. The old building was locked until 6:32. And I'd stand out in the door and I'd look in, I'd knock on the door, I'd see people back in there. They didn't see me. The wind's blowing, I'm freezing my patooties off.
Could they just change the time that the thing unlocks? Is that the issue? I mean, I don't mind the key issue, I'm just asking the question.
We can do whatever.
I don't know.
I'll make a motion, just get Dave a card, you know, and let's move on to the next one. I'll
I'll
make that
second.
motion.
I'll second.
Oh, you have a motion and a second.
Okay, got a motion and a second.
Second, yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Who seconded that?
Thank you,
I seconded it.
Marcia,
Dave
yeah.
made the motion.
Yeah, you guys can work that out.
Okay, here's another one. Parking in the employees park in the rear of the building, and almost daily I get people asking me, when are they gonna open City Hall? Because you drive by and there's no cars here and it looks like it's closed. So I would like for at least 2 of the employees to park in the front of the building like they always used to do, so that people can see that there's somebody in here. And then maybe that question will quit coming up.
In addition to that, I think we need to start looking at some kind of a sign, sits out on the corner of the building or something that says open. And so when they come in here, they flip it on and people can at least see a sign that says open, something. I've driven past here and it's been blank.
I've had people.
But I understand, if I want to know if somebody's here, I'll look in the back, you know.
My view is that it's very helpful to have staff park away from the front so that visitors coming in can get easy access. We're open 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday, except legal holidays. If somebody wants to come into the building or they want to do business here, they just come to the front door and pull the door open. I guess I'm not.
You don't have anybody ever asking you when they're gonna open City Hall?
No.
Of course, you've been hiding with COVID.
Yeah,
You haven't been out in circulation.
true.
I truly do get asked that a lot.
No, I'm
That's
just
the
thinking they'll
reason.
figure it out, it's open, and they'll eventually realize that we're open. But I didn't see somebody coming into the community center the other day wanting to know where to vote. So, yeah, you're right, there are people that ask, but I just think they'll get used to it. But I do like the idea of people parking in the back, and there are places I've been where I didn't want everybody to know when I was coming and going exactly, and I think it's really good to have space out front for
Well, I think
visitors.
99% of the time, there's plenty of space out front. Okay. I don't, but anyway, Dave, what's your opinion on that?
Do you think they'll quit asking after a while when you
Well,
tell
I
them?
think so. I think they're
You know,
used
maybe
to.
we just keep telling Marcia's. I don't know, you could maybe, well, I think in time they'll all realize that it always looks that way, but it's always open.
It's open. That's why I'm trying to bring up the sign thing.
Yeah, maybe you're suggesting hours of operation hanging someplace, or?
And our sign isn't up out there. I think John wants to add something to it too.
Come on, John.
Don't the employees have an entrance in the back? Isn't
My
it?
list is almost done.
Oh, that's okay. We got
I would just like to make a statement that, 2 things. First one is that there's a reason there's an employee's door in the back, and there's a reason that we park back there. At the other building, there were many times where we were confronted by customers out in the parking lot, either on our way into the building or our way out of the building. This keeps that from happening. Secondly, I would want to make sure that if you're going through this process and you're deciding that you're going to make us park out in the front, I need to know, and I think the other employees need to know, is it going to be a condition of employment that we park in the front? Because I think Number one, you can't do that to the union employees until you renegotiate their contract. As for the non-union employees, I want to know, are you going to require me to park out there?
Okay.
So, just a question I have.
So we're getting a little pushback about that, I guess. I just would like people to know that we're open. And people ask me all the time, so I guess we'll give them time and they'll learn that we're open.
Just curious, when they ask you that question, are they the same people? And if they are, what do you tell them?
I tell them, yeah, they're open. Of course they
And we
are.
get calls and people stop to see if we're here too. I mean, it's not that hard to walk in the front door either, so.
People call and ask if you're open or something?
They
Is that
ask
what
where
you
the new city hall is because we don't have a sign yet.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess I'm the odd one. I get asked quite often about it. So I guess you're right. Over time, they'll figure out that you're open. Pardon? Come on up.
I'm just asked, where's the sign?
Well, I asked about that again yesterday.
Well, there's two green ones that say City Hall.
Yeah.
This way, when you.
I asked, is that guy Tim that's working at the new building?
Yeah.
He was here today, and he said
Next
they are going to pick up the old sign and put it here. We were told they were going to take it apart, fix it up, give us a new sign. He said no, they're going to pick it up off the floor over there and put it here. So ask Andy about that, please,
Well, I
and
have
thank you.
always
'cause-
been, they're going to provide a new sign. I mean, that's always, and we
Yeah,
approve. the
Tim
new
said
sign.
no.
Andy told me yesterday that they're going to be here next week and put the footings and the posts in and install the sign.
Okay. Yeah, on the ground.
Did you talk to Andy or to Tim about that? And that's what they said they're going to do? Okay. Well,
That was news to me. I
Yeah.
didn't think that is what we were going to get.
I mean, I've had lots of conversations and they told me about the sign makers aren't getting it done and da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Where are they gonna put it?
Just halfway down to the corner,
Oh,
the side of the road. Hopefully so you can see it from 66. Okay. I'll make a call on that tomorrow.
M. Rosinger.
Okay, let's get past. I'm done with my little personal rant here. I'll get on. We got a Tim Rosinger. I got to read a letter from him. Mayor, don't know if you are aware of this, but I am sending some photos of the road after the new holding pond was put in. The drain and culvert does not keep up with the rainfall. I was taking photos today. A Crosslake truck came by and I am sure that they noticed the problem. This is down at Manhattan Beach in 66, the new stormwater pond. The grates for the drain are always full of leaves and I'm sure that keeps the water from draining. Maybe a larger drain needs to be installed. The road is always covered in water every time it rains. I know there was a substantial amount of money spent on the pond construction, but it really isn't much different than before. The drain always loads up with leaves the first time. So I guess, Dave, this question is going to come to you. Is there a remedy and what are we going to do for that? Because it does, every event it plugs up.
Yeah, I've seen it with leaves covering the grate. Talked with Ted. I think there was a question in his email about is it sized properly, and the pipes are sized properly to take the water. It's just the leaves cover the grate on the south side of the road and blocks the water from getting in. If you move the leaves out of the way, the water disappears. So there's, and I looked at it before the council meeting tonight, and it looks like it's clear. We're not going to get leaves blocking it at this point. If the snow stays, everything's kind of locked down out there.
But I mean, I live right there too, so I drive by it every time.
Yeah.
And the last rain event on the other side of the road in the new grass where they put that had a pond in it, a good sized pond.
And I looked at that tonight before the council meeting too, and there's still an erosion log around that inlet that was meant to keep dirt from
Right.
getting in during construction. That should be removed so that the water can get in, then you won't have that. Okay, that's a pretty simple fix. On the south side of the road, what we really normally like to do is put a curb box in, right in the curb face, so that leaves and bigger debris can go right in. They don't get trapped on the grate. But that's right in the transition where it kind of dovetails up into the 6-inch curb because of the trail right there. So you really can't put a curb box there. I think Ted and I just need to take a look at that and do some brainstorming and see if we can come up with a better solution.
Well, I'm sure Ted is well aware too that every time it rains, it floods
Yeah.
over the road.
No, we don't want that either.
And I think it is every time. I
Yeah.
don't mean to be.
The other point is it really doesn't have anything to do with the project that was done this summer. This was done in 2018, that particular structure and grate that's there.
Well, but it was put in.
It
knowing
connects
that-
to the whole system.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it was put in knowing that the next one was
Yeah.
coming.
So we'll look at that. Ted.
So, and I don't know what the fix is, but. That was the one that was added, Shaw, right? I'm done now, right? Oh. Discuss platforms for future meetings to comply with the governor's orders. So, what's he saying? 10 people in a group? So 10 people here doesn't even accommodate the staff and the council. So council meetings are gonna be closed to the public until further notice.
That's not right.
Well, I don't know how we do it.
Cindy knows the numbers.
Come on, Cindy, help us out.
I was on a conference, Cindy Bugato with the Cross Lake Chamber of Commerce. I was on a conference meeting this morning with the Minnesota State Deed Department, and the question was specifically asked about city council meetings. And they said this executive order does not regulate anything regarding city council meetings. You are under the same guidelines as you were prior to this executive order.
So is that 20 people or the way we have it set up
I think it's
here?
capacity of the building as long as you can space 6 feet in distance.
Basically what you're looking at right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So how do we get that in writing?
You can, I can send you the link.
Can you get that? I mean,
Yep. The question was specifically asked. I can send you the video where the lady answered the question.
yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I would just soon not close it down, but we have to do what he says we have to do.
But that's this week. Next week is a new week.
Yeah, no, I know, it's gonna be changing. Okay, Mike, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
All right, the first item you have is a letter dated from Clifton Larson Allen for annual audit services. And there's a fairly detailed letter for them, but the thing everyone's most interested in is what's it going to cost? This year, they're looking at roughly a 3% adjustment, which would bring their fee to $24,990. So the request is for approval of the annual audit letter, engagement, so we can get going and start preparing for the annual audit of our financial statements.
You said 3% adjustment.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
What is the electronic fees?
That's a fee that every firm will charge you to pay for the technology to perform their services. It's like when you go get your car fixed, you get a shop charge.
Yeah.
That's what that is. Technology is a big deal. A lot of this we do remotely, and they could either charge a higher fee, or they could break it out and say this part of our services is to support our technology.
But the 5% is of the, well, round numbers,
Of the audit fee,
25,000.
correct.
Yeah, okay. It's not something where they have some other fee sitting outside?
No.
Okay. And do we want Larson and Allen? I'm asking you.
My recommendation is to approve the engagement letter for 20.
How many years have they done it for us?
They've done it on and off for a number of years. And when you're looking at professional services, you know, especially with this, you want to make sure you've got a good auditor that has a very good reputation, which they do.
But you said on and off. Have they been on exclusively for quite a, who else have we had?
We've had, well, firms change. We've had Larson Allen. No, we had Clifton Larson Allen, which is a completely different firm than what it used to be. We've had the firm over in Pequot. I wasn't here when we did that one.
Or Justin.
Right.
Yeah.
Beinhorn. Mm-hmm.
That's been quite a few years ago. Well, so Clifton Allen, I mean, this is the same firm, it's just a couple of the guys retired or something, right?
No, what happened was, that's the name of their firm. They merged with another firm a few years ago.
Okay, but they're familiar with us and how we do it.
Yes, they are. Very, very specialized service, governmental accounting. It's definitely not like doing a tax return.
So does anybody want to make a motion, or you got any other questions?
Make a motion that we use Clifton Larson Allen for audits for 2020.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you. The second item I have, and last item, is a memo dated November 5th from the city clerk regarding the lodging tax. As many of you are aware of, there's a lodging tax in effect for our area. It's not administered by us. But what the joint powers agreement was saying is what you have, is what's attached is, we used to have to fill this out monthly. And what the folks that are Ideal Township takes care of this for Whitefish Lodging, and they're asking to go to quarterly reporting rather than monthly, is really the only change. They don't have the staffing or the resources to do the lodging tax on a monthly basis, so they're asking that we would agree to go to quarterly. It doesn't really impact us at all, so they're just asking for
It's
quarterly.
okay with the state, the reporting agency,
Yep.
or whatever, and that's all
Yep.
kosher.
There's no reason for us to not approve this.
I'll make a motion to approve the joint powers agreement with, presented with Ideal Township.
I'll second it.
There's also an ordinance in there, we had to change the ordinance.
Yeah, we would change the ordinance to be consistent with the agreement with the Lodging Association. So if you go about the third page back on there is the ordinance change.
So does that have to be part of the motion? Or
It should, yes.
Adopt the ordinance amending that chapter for the Cross Lake.
And to publish it and stuff.
Publish it.
do what you have to do.
I agree with it. I'll still second it on the publishing.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. All right, TJ.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'll first start by congratulating Mayor Nevin, Aaron, and Marcia. Congratulations. I have two items for you tonight. The first is the irrigation project. Back in September, you approved the irrigation project for $8,500. With the unusual weather that we saw in October, they were planning on putting it in right when that snowstorm hit. They pretty much put away all their irrigation supplies, put it in storage, and got out all their snowplow equipment, so I'm looking to push that into 2021.
TJ, can you get an agreement from them they don't change the price?
Absolutely. Yep, I can do that. He already verbally committed, but I can get something in writing.
You're better off than right.
Yep.
Can you get an agreement with them that'll do it right away?
I can do that too.
You know?
He already verbally committed that too, but I can get that ready, yes.
See if you can get a commitment on that so
Yep.
it doesn't go out till September.
I'll make a motion that we move the irrigation project that was budgeted in 2020 and designate those funds for 2021 in the amount of $8,500.
I second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 2, request to purchase picnic tables and umbrellas. These 2 remaining picnic tables, we had this in the kind of plan from the get-go with this project. The first picnic table and umbrella was actually donated, the money was donated by Peter and Pam Graves. So we're looking at just buying the 2 remaining and putting them in right away next spring with concrete foundations, and they'll be located right in the middle social area there. So it'll offer more seating and more shade for the players.
What are the costs of them?
The cost? Well, together with the 2 benches and the 2 umbrellas, $2,612.10.
You're using the pickleball tournament money
Correct.
for that?
Yep.
So that's exactly what you got on the tournaments or whatever.
Well, the tournament earnings there is the $13.45, and then pickleball revenue, which is derived from the pickleball membership fees.
So you got enough to cover?
Yep, we have enough to cover.
I so move that we let you purchase those items.
I'll second his motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, all in favor.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
TJ. So Ted, you're not gonna come in, huh?
I'm gonna ask Dave to stand up for me.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Are you gonna do this, or can you do it? The Public Works?
He said Dave was going to do it.
Oh, Dave's gonna do it? Okay,
Yes, if he would, please.
okay.
Evening, Mayor and Council. The Public Works, item A is a resolution ordering preparation of report on improvement. Lists all the roads in the resolution and the type of improvements. This is the first step, first resolution required in the assessment procedure that needs to be passed by 4/5 vote of the City Council. These are all city-initiated projects, so that requires a 4/5 vote. This is consistent with the recommendation of the Public Works Commission and the City Council action at the October meeting. We're recommending that you approve this resolution to get this started.
Okay, Dave, can I ask you to add something to this? For the Rushmore, Harbor Lane, and Birch Narrows, could you add an option to do an overlay on it instead of a reconstruct? And do both of them, so we know what the additional costs are when you put it out for bids.
An alternate bid for overlay on Rushmore and Harbor Lane.
And Birch Narrows, those are the
And
3
Birch.
reconstructs, right?
That's right. Well, Wildron Ranch as well.
Well, that needs a little correction to Wildern Ranch, though. There's something going on there.
We believe all of these require subgrade correction. That's why we're recommending that they be full depth reclamation and reconstruction.
So the implications of a full-depth reclamation, does it get into legal property owner issues when you do that? Whereas if it's just an overlay, you just overlay what you have?
It's grinding up the existing roadbed itself so that there's no pre-existing blacktop left. It's been blended with the base so that you start with a new base and you don't get the reflective cracking back through. Plus you get the chance to shape the road the way it should be and match into all the driveways. If you overlay these roads, they're so misshapen the way they are now. They've deflected in different places. The shoulders have dropped off. In a lot of cases, the road isn't a crown anymore. It needs to be totally reshaped and redone. So if you overlay it, you're just gonna probably end up spending that money again within the next 5 to 6 years because it's all gonna have water sitting on it. it's gonna be harder to match into
Well, they would have to
driveways.
correct the grading on it and see, but.
Dave Nevin, my impression is these 3 roads are in pretty crappy shape, so.
So Dave, if you get the base right, so that's really the time the machine comes in, chews it all up. But if the base gets right, can we overlay that down the road in 15 years without digging it up?
Yeah,
I mean, assuming that it's all
that
right.
would be the normal recommended
Drill,
procedure.
so you don't have to go through this the next time. So
Yeah,
some
I
of
think
these
you'd
weren't-
be throwing good money to bad use there,
Well,
just
but my
overlaying
question is,
what's.
when we did Anchor Point Road, there got to be a lot of legal property owner. We had to do some adjustments to the right-of-way. Is that not true?
We did
I
a
think
trail
there were some easements that were required on Forest Lodge Road that we had to deal with, and a few you recall that we dealt
trail.
with.
The trail is added with. If you're not gonna add a
Yeah,
trail, it's not the same
right.
issue.
So you don't foresee any of that on these roads?
No,
You have the right-of-way that you need and everything?
yeah, we're not planning on expanding the width of these roads.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward construction then. Okay.
And it'll be easier with the full depth reclaim on these roads.
Well, it's going to be easier. It's going to be 3 or 4 times more money, too.
Well, we'll take the bids and see if they're acceptable.
I mean, we're just spending so much money on all kinds of stuff, so I'm looking for ways to. And at the same token, we don't want to not do any of them, because then we're going to have to do all of them. I get it, but. Okay, so you want a motion for this to move it forward?
I so move.
Here, we got a motion by Andrews,
I'll second John's motion.
second by Schrupp. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Dave, are you gonna bring a schedule back so that the step 2, we all know we can get it?
Right, we've already prepared a draft of the next resolution, setting a date for hearing.
We get our bids in the right time of year.
So that'll be handled at your next council meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
David, you want to go ahead with your next one?
Okay.
We can just kind of rearrange this.
With your permission, I'll go down to 2E, which is the proposal for the services, which you set us out on and back in October with getting the appraiser's benefit opinion going, and with some of the preliminary work. This is a proposal to cover some of that work that's already begun. We've got utilities located. They should be located by Monday, and then we'll get our survey information going and put the feasibility studies together and have the hearings. So that's what this is for. Our proposal is in your packet in 2E.
Okay, and is this locking you into 2021 road projects?
I would,
Brad, is that what that says?
Ask the question again.
Well, is it locking it in? I mean, we're looking for bids for engineering next year. And now, is this something that we're going to agree to and I'm going to sign? And if another
Regarding
bid
who the
comes in?
engineer is next year, or whether we're doing the projects, or what do you mean by locking in?
Well, by locking them into the road engineer for the city for next year by doing this now.
Oh, in case we change the city
Yeah, in case-
engineer.
yeah, we're going to look for proposals first of the year.
Well, the city engineer includes, Dave could answer this better than I could, but the city engineer role includes more than what this feasibility study is about, but it's definitely a good chunk of it. He knows his workload more than I do.
It says proposal for engineering services.
But for street improvement, I mean, he does other things than just that, but again, he
For
can
street
speak to that
improvements
better
for
than me.
2021.
you could decide to pick a different city engineer come January if you're fine with us finishing out this road program for 2021. So that doesn't have to be
Yeah,
locked
well,
together.
I don't know what we're gonna do.
But
But I-
can explain that, though. You do a lot, this wouldn't, there's lots of things you do as city engineer that are in addition to this, is what I'm trying to ask. Is that true?
Right, yeah.
So that's a good chunk of what a city engineer does, but they're not, there's more included in city engineering than just this, is what I was trying to explain.
I'm just trying to be really careful what I agreed to, like the road assessment, the sewer assessment thing, that I didn't really understand that I was agreeing to the final of it. And
This isn't locking the city into requiring us to be your city engineer for another however long you want.
okay. Okay, this is just moving the thing forward so you can keep going.
Yep.
Get it prepared.
And locking in a fee, so you understand there's a $25,000 fee
Yeah.
involved.
It locks you into this contract, so if you hired a different engineer, they would still finish this contract, but the city engineer does other things, is what I'm
Yes.
trying to,
Yes.
yeah.
So I would move that we accept the engineering services from WSN for 2021 street improvements feasibility study.
At a cost of $25,000?
Cost of $25,000.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second, a little discussion on it. The one thing we could do is table this till after the December meeting when we look at the proposals.
Well, I prefer not to, because right now time is not our friend, let me put it that way. We need to get them working on stuff so that we get public hearings in a timely manner, we get bids out in a timely manner and that type of thing. So I think there's...
I don't think this affects public hearings, it's just getting the bid documents.
If
This-
we fall
this is the
behind on
hearings.
this, we gotta stay on a schedule because there's public meetings.
Because
Send stuff out for
we
bid.
can end up on...
anticipate holding the improvement hearings
Right after the 1st of January
in January?
with this schedule if it's approved.
Okay, well, that's all I wanted to say. So we got a motion and a second on it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, all in favor. Okay, now we've got the three items that we were gonna table and defer back to the Public Works.
Mr. Mayor, with permission, I'd like to take them back to Public Works to get a recommendation from them.
Yeah, okay. All three of them.
Yes. B, C, and D.
So does that require a motion, or do we just let it go?
You should do a motion to table.
Okay.
Ted, is there a timeline issue connected with this?
All of it is things that need to be taken care of at either in the collection system or at the treatment plant. The lift station controls are probably the most critical, then the clarifiers, and then the biosolids. Timeline, it's when we can afford it, I guess.
Well, and I think if you feel a need to do a special meeting or something for this, Ted, you know, if there's emergency, you could do that.
I can try to see if I can get the commissioners together so we talk about it and get it done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
So,
I think we should maybe look at this at the budget meeting next Thursday.
I don't know if he
agree.
can get it, I agree, but I mean, I don't know if he can have the commission ready prior to that. That's only a week away.
I mean, we've got the numbers.
I will try.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so did somebody make a motion?
I'll
We
make
need
a
a-
motion that we table all
Table.
three of these.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to table. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you, council.
Yep, thanks, Ted. Okay, public forum. No action will be taken on any of the issues raised. If appropriate, the issue will be placed on the agenda of a future council meeting. Speaker must state their name and address. Each speaker is given 3 minutes. Does anybody have anything? Looks pretty quiet. We'll close the public forum. City Attorney, you have anything, Brad?
No?
Okay, any new business?
I would be interested in knowing, do we know what the fire department revenue was from going out west?
Say that again, please?
The revenue that the fire department received from going out west to fight the fires?
The Oregon trip.
Just it'd be interesting to know.
3 million.
In our dreams.
Chip got 2.
We haven't received the paperwork completely back yet. HSCM has all the receipts and everything documented, and R2 is submitted, so we're just waiting for final approval, but it's probably close to 81,000, but that also covers labor. And so for the truck, I think it ended up being about 38 to 44,000, I believe.
I thought you were getting 181,000.
They weren't out there, they were only out there for 16 days, I believe. They weren't out there the full length and the time that they were using. Plus we had to go with rates that were a little bit cheaper. They were FEMA rates rather than DNR rates, but still made some money. They had a good experience. So when I get the full report back, I'll be able to share it with you.
Yeah.
One other thing, since we're under new business, just want to make sure everybody aware, like the governor says, yes, COVID is ramping up. In Crow Wing County, we had over 100 cases the last 3 or 4 days, and the hospitals are full. Both St. Cloud, Essentia, Duluth is almost going to be full. Crosby's every other day, so it is very rampant up here.
I was told Crosby is not taking COVID cases.
There's not very, well, I wouldn't say that. I'm not sure what the truth is. We had a meeting today, and I didn't hear him say that. But it's tough right now because I know Essentia's holding 2 rooms just in case there's a trauma. We usually take our trauma patients to St. Cloud, but they're closed. Now we're supposed to usually take them to Duluth, well, they're closed. So now it's getting very interesting. They're
Well,
full.
Nancy's got a scheduled surgery, and they said that
Canceled
Crosby was not, no, hers isn't canceled.
Not yet, huh?
Not yet.
But I just wear your mask,
Yeah,
please,
right.
and social distance, and try to. We've had 5 on the fire department that have it, so it's tough, and it's not
5 left?
5 that have COVID right now, and they didn't get it from going to a call. It's more from out in the social gatherings. So.
Yeah, no, it's definitely there.
Yep.
Thanks, Chip.
Okay, any old business? Okay, waiting for that motion.
I'll move the meeting adjourns.
Motion by Marcia.
Second.
Second by Aaron, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.